What's going on, family? It's your boy TC, Theron Michael Cunningham Sr., the Hope Dealer. Here on the Hope Dealer podcast, coming to you for the first time, dropping the first episode. Man, we in here. We're in this place, man. We are excited to be starting on this adventure for the Hope Dealer podcast. Welcome to everyone who has downloaded and who is listening to this particular episode. I want to say thank you for your support. Thank you for joining in with me and going on this journey of spreading the message of hope. Hope Dealer Podcast, y'all, it is dedicated to pushing you to pursue your purposes, your passions, and your platforms that I believe God has uniquely allowed you to be born into this earth to fulfill. I believe that there's something that only you can contribute. There's only something that you can bring to the earth. Man, there's work for you to do, and I am here to push you to do it. The Hope Dealer Podcast. And I want you to be excited along with me that we're going to start on this together. Hey, man, I'm happy today, y'all. I am happy today that I am actually recording what will be the first episode to the Hope Dealer Podcast. I'm really taken aback. I'm sitting here in my seat, man, but I could actually be lying in the middle of the floor because this is a dream come true. I can remember, just a couple of years ago, kind of feeling the itch and listening to different podcasts. One of the guys that I love, Malcolm Gladwell, as a author, started a podcast, and then I began to see people, man, pick up momentum on starting podcasts and things like that, from Kevin Hart to, just all over the place. Entertainers and actors and pastors. Man, there was a guy down in, I'm not sure where his church is, but a guy named Albert Tate. Man, I loved his podcast. I loved it because it was crazy. I love crazy stuff, man. I love humor, and I love serious stuff. But then I love laughing, man, at the end of serious stuff. And so my man would have a podcast, and he'd bring on authors and different people, man, in the Christian world. And my guy would ask them at the end of the interview, after they're going to talk about all the things they do in ministry and missions and like making impact or whatever, he'd hit them with that, like, what's your favorite curse word? And like some of the people, man, would be rocked on it because they like, yo, what I'm supposed to say out loud what my favorite cuss word is. And then some of them was like, man, they laid it out there, pretty quick. They laid it out there pretty quick. Like, it's their favorite cuss word because they use it a lot. Right. I began to want to be a part of the podcast world. Now, for some people who know me and know me well, they totally understand that podcasting is not outside the realm of reality for me. Because if you know me well, I love to talk. I don't mind talking. I love discussion. I love debate. I like arguing. Whatever whatever realm of communication, when it's audible, I'm in it. I'm ready for it. And podcasting, I believe, man, was created for fellas like me who love to discuss open conversation about a multitude, a myriad, a pantheon of topics and issues, and really, man, just like to chop it up and throw intellect back and forth. This is me. And so, man, I am excited to be recording this particular episode, ready to shake the world with the message of hope in my unique way. I'm coming only in the way that I know how. I've told you on the teaser, I'm a pastor, I'm a preacher. I love Jesus, right? I love Jesus. I love the scriptures. I've studied it. I'm one of them guys, man, that has no problem debating the validity of who Jesus is. I'll talk about Jesus, man, all day long. Matter of fact, I had a big brother, man, who I'll dedicate several episodes to him. Lost him 18 years ago, man. And my big brother was the type of cat, man, that did not mind putting up his fist, man, and getting into a good old fashioned fight. And my big brother, man, told me one day, he said, boy, I love you so much, man. I'm willing to hit somebody in the mouth for you. And he meant that. And the way he said it, he said mouth with M-O-F-F. And man, that's kind of how I am, man, about my faith. You know, I am literally at a place, man, that I'm willing to debate and defend, you know, the validity of who Jesus is, the person and his work. You know, and so, man, I'm a guy, man. I'm a Christian, but I also love life, you know, and I don't see it as a tension. I don't see it as a competition to be a full-fledged, blood-bought, right Christian, but a dude who loves to laugh. I will shoot jokes. I would, man, if we're comfortable with one another and you have big ankles, I will talk about that. I will tell you, yo, man, that you need big ankle braces. Like you're gonna use, you know, I can't even do it. I'm trying to be silly and can't do it. I'm just trying to let you know, man, that listen, I'm trying to be real, and I'm approaching this podcast as a brother, man, who understands the seriousness of the fact, man, that there are people who need hope, people who need to have the breath of life breathe into their nostrils so that they can be awakened to life, like we see in Scripture. You know, the Genesis account of Adam being brought to life. God had formed him, and then he breathed that ruah breath into him, that breath of life, that spirit-filled breath in him. I understand the seriousness that many of us, man, are coming into a time in life where we desperately need somebody, man, to cheerlead us and to push us forward. And I get it. But I do believe, man, that just as much as God can breathe life in us through sermons and through scripture reading and through prayer, God can breathe life in us through laughter. God can breathe life through us through joking and playing around and making light of things. But he also, man, can use the stories of other people. He can use the stories of those who he has used in a unique way to make it through some crazy, crazy times. And I'm telling you, if there's been no other year to start a podcast to talk about people who need hope, and to start a podcast to highlight people who have made it through extraordinary, crazy times, 2021 is the year. It's the year to do it because the world was turned upside down in 2020. Literally any and everything that you can think of, man, happened. Sickness, social unrest. We had the most, I tell you, it was a debacle when it comes to political, the presidency, the change of presidency administrations was the craziest thing that we've ever seen. And I'm telling you, we have all the material that we need to talk about how that we can have hope, that God is still in control, and that if we combine together hope and hard work, man, we can open up doors for success in our lives that we've never seen. And so, man, I'm just a guy who is half country, half city. Grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, from the years, man, my birth year all the way up until 1986. The last address I had, man, was on Dixdale Avenue, right off of Dixie Highway. Right on the edge of the south end of the city and where the West End meet. Man, went to Cane Run Elementary School, went to Southern Middle School, which is now Olmsted Academy. Listen, man, left Louisville and went to Muhlenberg County. Listen, there's a song by the, oh man, what's some boy's name? Wow, I just drew a whole blank. It's the excitement, man, of the first podcast. And they sang a song, Peabody's Coal Truck is All Gone Away. Man, listen, I'm really trying to remember the name of those people, man. It's got me. They were brothers, and it just drew the whole blank, and it's messing with me. So man, moved down to Muhlenberg County. Muhlenberg County, the city that we moved to was Central City, Kentucky. Now, Central City, Kentucky, on the sign, I never will forget, riding down WK to Penny Route, going down, man, to Central City. Never forget getting off the expressway and seeing that state sign that said Central City, Kentucky, population 10,000. Now, I knew that we was in a small town because I knew there was 10,000 people, roughly in my neighborhood right there in the end of town that I lived in. 10,000. And here I am in a whole city that only encompasses 10,000 people. We were in trouble. My brother and I moved to the city, and we began a new life. And it has molded me into somebody who appreciates, who is able to appreciate crowded rooms, but also, man, spending time down by the creek. I understand that life is fluid, and I know that all things are not static. That people are not all the same. That there are great people who live in mansions, and there are great people who live in huts. And it has been a joy in walking out this life. Thought I was going to be for the rest of my life a city boy, but then going down to quote unquote the country, living in rural Kentucky, and it introduced me to ways of living, and it expanded me. It expanded me and grew my understanding of life. And y'all, that is a part of my foundation of how I have come to be a host on the Hope Dealer podcast. Man, it's because I desire to help people get to the place in life that they want to be. And I found out that no matter where you are, whether you are on a numbered street in Louisville, Kentucky, or whether you are, on a street named after some country singer down in Western Kentucky, you want more. You desire more. You desire to go to the next level in life. You desire to be more than your beginnings, and you want more. But everybody who wants more doesn't have the opportunity to get more, and they need to be attached to people. They need to know that there are people in this world, on this planet, that want them to grow. And that's what the Hope Dealer podcast is all about. We want to try to connect people to one another. I'm excited, man, about some of the people that I've already been able to contact, some of the people that I've already been able to interview. I would not have believed that I would have been able to get in the room with some of the people that I've been able to connect with in order to begin interviewing and recording episodes for this podcast. I mean, and then some of the people that are on the purview that have, kind of roughly accepted invitation. Listen to me. I'm telling you, if you have something that you want to do, if there's something that you want to pursue, no matter how large it may seem to you, go after it, chase it down, pursue it. You never know how many doors will open for you by you just chasing it down. Go after it. Man, if it's starting a business, start it. It may not be as successful or as easy as you thought it would be early on, but if you keep pursuing it, you will see that there will be doors that open, opportunities to come your way simply because you started. There are things, there are people, there are connections that will manifest in our lives only when we begin. This Hope Dealer podcast, I remember Tony Evans, a great pastor down in Texas. He talks about how that when they renovated their new facility, that they put in new lighting. And in the new lighting, they put in motion sensors. And he said that when he saw that we were motion sensor, he walked into the room and he's rubbing on the wall looking for the switch, and he realized there was no switch. Well, he took another step into the room and the lights came on. And he was astonished. He was like, yo, what's going on? And then put the motion sensors in, and he said this point right here: the lights were off until it censored movement. That the only way that light was going to come on and that it was going to illuminate the room and the opportunities and the things that were going to happen in that room for those to happen, it took movement, someone to walk into the room first and create movement, and the lighting and all other things followed the movement of the person walking into the room. All right, I think I butchered that illustration, but I think you understand my point. Start moving. There are things that are connected to you making moves. This Hope Dealer podcast is evidence of that. I did not think the 2 to 3 years ago when I was thinking about this or starting this podcast that I would be sitting in the room with civic leaders, that I would be sitting in the room with certain pastors, and I would be sitting in the room, man, with business owners and, man, some of the most unique people in the city of Louisville, in Kentucky, and I believe even as we go on, I am going to be in the presence of people who are all across this nation, all across this world, who are making a difference. And it's all going to be because I tried. And that's what I want you to hear. I want you to hear that there are going to be things in 2021 that you're going to be able to accomplish because you tried. There are going to be some of you that are going to see great moves happen in your life simply because you tried. You cannot conceive all the gradations that you're going to have to go through. You cannot see all of the winding roads that you're going to have to travel to get to your destination. But understand this, hear me on this, you will never get there until you start trying, until you start moving, until you make the decision within yourself that you're going to get out of your own way and you're going to make a way to get to the destination you believe is a part of your purpose, your passion, and your platform. You know, we talk about it in scripture all the time, and the Genesis account talks about that God created Adam, talked about this before, and when he created Adam and he breathed life into him, he placed him in the garden. And the Bible says that he placed him in the garden because the garden needed to be tended. The garden needed to be subdued. There were actions that were going on in the garden that were going amok, and they needed someone to tend to it. God gave him breath, gave him ability, gave him intellect, gave him strength, gave him endurance, even gave him a helper for him to create an opportunity to fulfill that purpose. I believe that the talents and the gifts that you already have, that you already were born with the day that you were brought into this world, you have in you what it takes for you to accomplish what you desire. But you have to have that faith. You have to have that will. You have to have that push to now ask God to put you in your garden so that you can now begin to produce. I was talking to a young man the other day, and he was having a rough time, y'all. He was having a rough time. I mean, literally, he was sad. Now, I don't mean to laugh. I'm just saying that I'm trying to, I'm trying to get you to see, man, how down and out he was. He was in an Eeyore moment. He was dragging, man. I mean, his chin was on the ground. And we began to talk, and he was telling me how that he felt like in a particular area in his life, he may have bitten off a little bit more than he could chew. And he didn't understand how he was going to get outside of where he was. And I said this to him. I said, well, I grew up in the country, and in our backyard, we had an apple tree. It would grow those green apples, some of those crab apples, and then we had that would have those sour apples. Another tree that would have those sour apples. And I love those apples, man. We'd go out there and we'd eat them till our stomach hurt. And I told him, I said, man, here's something I want you to understand about that tree and possibly about your situation. That tree produces apples only one time a year. Now think about this. It produces almost hundreds of apples in its season. But after it produces those apples, that tree has to watch some of his apples rot while still hanging on the limb because no one comes to pick them. But then that tree also has to watch some of its most beautiful apples be plucked, bitten into, and then thrown to the ground by somebody who seemingly was disinterested. I said, could you imagine if that tree could talk? That it would talk about all the apples that it had. It wouldn't just talk about the ones that were picked and put in the baskets and children enjoyed them, but it would also talk about those apples that were high up and they were unreachable. And people did not want to use energy and effort to get to the apples that were high up. And even though those apples were just as good to the taste, even though those apples had the equal amount of nutritional value, they were high up and no one wanted to use the energy and effort to get to those apples, and the tree had to watch or feel those apples wilt and go away. They would fall off the tree and hit the ground, seemingly no good to anyone. And he'd have to watch those people walk up, grab and pick those they could reach, and not treat them well. They wouldn't take them home and make pies. They wouldn't take them and cut them up later and eat them at a lunch. They would just take them, throw them at trains or throw them into the ditch and walk away and not rightfully use the apples. That tree would find great joy in the people who would do right by his apples, but he would have deep sorrow for those apples that seemingly didn't reach their mark. But also understand this, that apple would have to go through a season where it produces nothing. After it goes through the season of producing multiple apples, after it goes through a season of understanding some of those apples will not reach their mark and will not ever reach the hands or the stomachs of anyone, after he has seen some of his produce misused, misaligned, and disrespected, he would have to go through a whole season of producing nothing. And seemingly when he gets to the end of his end, and he now lets sorrow seep in, the sunshine, the spring comes, the rain comes, and he now begins to produce a whole new harvest. I told that young man that, you're going to go through different phases, man. When it comes to business, when it comes to connecting with other people, when it comes to pouring into other people, when it comes to living off of your talent and living off of your gift, when it comes to starting new things, you have to understand that you're going to produce some of the most beautiful things for the earth to receive. And they're going to be people that won't put forth the effort to grab what you have offered. And then there are going to be people that when you put it out there, music, pictures, when you build certain things, when you're a person who is gifted in song, when you're a person, man, who is gifted in creating things, in art, when you're a teacher, you're a parent, you're going to go through seasons that people are going to pluck your low fruit, but they're not going to do well with it. They're not going to respect the hard work that you went through in order to produce it. They're not going to respect all that you had to sacrifice in order for you to bring this to the world. They're not going to appreciate your feelings that here you are standing there, watching them pluck what you have produced, and then they throw it to the ground and walk on about their day. They're not going to know. Their heart is not going to be leaned towards you. But you're going to have to find a way to remember that you produce fruit that fed multiple people. When you feel that fruit on your vine is not appreciated because people don't want to put effort towards it to get it. When you have to watch people disrespect and dishonor what you have produced, you have to hold on to the fact that there were multiple people, more than those who disrespected, more than the lazy ones, that plucked your fruit and were greatly fueled by what you produced. But then you also have to take those seasons off and recalibrate. Get your strength back up. Dig into your roots and get resources, the roots of your faith, the roots of encouragement, the roots of vacation, the roots of solitude, the roots of spending time with your family, the roots of going over your craft and making yourself better. You got to dig down into your roots and pull back all those resources back up into yourself so that when the season comes for you to produce, you're able to produce all over again. That's what life looks like. And that's what the Hope Builder Podcast is all about. Well, I'm here to fan the flame, to say to you that you have a gift. You have something to offer the world. And family, I want you to be a part of it. I want you to get it, man. I want you to go crazy producing your gift. And that's what we're going to be doing here on the Hope Builder Podcast. Hope Builder Podcast, man, we're going to love it. We're going to step into it. And we're going to greatly appreciate the fact that God has gifted us with an opportunity, man, to do more. What a time, man. What a day that we are living in right now. And I pray that as you hear these episodes, that you are encouraged to push yourself beyond your limitations. That 2021 is the year that you step out and that you do more than you have ever imagined. You find yourself looking at your future and you're smiling. Hope Dealer Podcast. It's your boy TC. Then run Michael Cunningham, the Hope Dealer.